Hi, I'm Raylene. My sister told me I wasn't welcome for Thanksgiving, said it would just keep the peace. But that wasn't the first time they pushed me aside. They used my name to take out loans, drained my accounts, even opened a secret bank account behind my back. And the worst part? My own mother helped them do it. I stayed silent for years, but not this time. So what finally broke me? And why did I cancel their mortgage payments without saying a word? I was standing at the kitchen counter, half a cup of coffee left cold beside my laptop, when I opened the family group chat. There it was. Pictures of Carla's turkey centerpiece idea, Travis chiming in with "looks great, babe," and Mom replying with 3 heart emojis. But not one mention of my name, not one word about my RSVP from 2 days ago. I typed, deleted, then typed again. Should I bring dessert this year, or is someone else covering that? Message sent. I waited. An hour passed, then 2. Still no reply, just more chatter between them about wine pairings and seat arrangements. I stared at the screen like it might blink back some logic. I picked up the phone and called Mom. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice lower than usual. "Honey, hey, everything okay?" I cut to it. "Just wondering if there's a reason no one's responding about Thanksgiving." A pause. A rustle like she was covering the mouthpiece. Then, "Well, Carla thought it might be best this year if maybe you sat this one out, just to keep the peace." Keep the peace. I felt that phrase slam against my chest like a cold slap. I swallowed hard. "So, I'm the threat to peace now?" "No, sweetie, no one said that. It's just, Carla's been feeling overwhelmed, and Travis has had a lot going on at work. And the kids, are you seriously justifying this?" She sighed, worn and tired. "I'm in a tough spot, Raylene. I love you both. Please don't make this harder." I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just said, "You already did." 2 days later was my birthday. I baked my own cake, carrot like always, and waited. No knock at the door, no car in the driveway, just a voicemail. "Hey baby, I wanted to come by, I really did, but Carla thinks it would just bring tension. I'm sorry. We'll celebrate another day, okay? Love you." I stood in my kitchen with a slice untouched on the plate, the voicemail looping in my mind like static. Later that night, I pulled out old photo albums from under the coffee table. There I was, holding Carla's baby at Thanksgiving while she drank wine and laughed. There I was again, bringing trays of food, setting the table, cleaning up plates. Always there, always working, always giving. Yet here I was, alone, cast out like I'd never belonged. Maybe this Thanksgiving I should give them exactly what they want. The next morning, I brewed a fresh pot of coffee, half out of habit, half to distract myself from the staleness settling over my house. I opened Facebook on my phone, expecting the usual photos of coworkers' kids and political rants, but something caught my eye right away. A banner photo, pink and gold balloons. A caption, "Can't believe my baby girl is turning 10. Birthday bash this Saturday, #momlife, #blessed Carla." I stared at the image for a while, the comments pouring in from her friends. No mention of me, of course, but I didn't want to read too much into it. Maybe it was just a post. Maybe she hadn't sent invites yet. I set my mug down, walked to the closet, and pulled out a small box I'd kept for months. A necklace shaped like a star, the same design I gave her when she was 5. A silly tradition, one I thought mattered. That Saturday, curiosity got the better of me. I told myself I was just running errands on that side of town. But somehow, I found myself driving past Carla's house. Cars lined both sides of the street, bright balloons tied to the mailbox, laughter spilling out onto the lawn, children running around in princess dresses. I slowed the car, pretending to check my GPS, even though I knew this neighborhood by heart. My niece's face flashed in the window for a second. Someone handed her a giant gift bag. I couldn't look away. I wasn't on that guest list. Hell, I wasn't even on the radar. I drove off. Later that night, I picked up the phone and dialed Carla. She picked up with a breathy, distracted, "Hey." "Hey," I replied. "I saw online that it was your daughter's birthday party today." "Yep," she said. No emotion, just flat. "I didn't get an invite." A beat of silence. Then, with a tired sigh, "She didn't want to see you, Raylene. She said so herself." My throat tightened. "What?" "She's old enough to decide who she wants around, and she said it would be weird if you came." I tried to laugh, something brittle and awkward. She used to beg to come stay with me on weekends. That was years ago, Carla replied. Things change. I hung up before she could say anything else, before I lost whatever grip I had left. Later, as I sat on my bed staring at the necklace box, I thought about that Christmas morning 3 years ago, when I'd spent half my paycheck on that dollhouse she'd wanted. Carla was too sick to get out of bed, and I'd braided her daughter's hair, packed her school lunch, and stayed overnight. She loved me then. I was her safe place. So what changed her mind? Or who did? The next morning, I stepped into my home office to check emails, but a new alert stole my attention. Credit activity reported. I hadn't opened any accounts or made big purchases. My stomach clenched. Clicking through, I saw it. My name tied to a personal loan I never applied for. A 5-figure amount issued 2 weeks ago. I called the bank's fraud department. After an hour of automated menus and being put on hold, a rep finally emailed me the loan agreement. I opened the PDF. There it was. My signature. But it wasn't recent. It was from an old co-signed form, 5 years back when Carla and Travis needed help getting their car refinanced. They kept my paperwork. They reused it. I sat frozen. My own handwriting stared back at me, twisted into a weapon. There was only one person who'd benefit, and who had access. Travis. He'd begged me for a loan 6 months ago, said he was rebuilding his credit, but I turned him down. He hadn't taken it well. I pulled open a drawer and flipped through my old files. Sure enough, I found the original form, same handwriting, same layout. The only difference? The date and the purpose. I called Carla immediately. "Hey," she answered, chipper, like nothing had happened. "I need to ask you something serious," I said, skipping the pleasantries. "Did Travis use my name for a loan?" A long pause, then a soft laugh. "Oh my God, is that what this is about? It's nothing, Raylene. Just a mix-up." "A mix-up? He forged my name." "No one forged anything. It was just recycled. You've signed for us before. Don't make this into a thing." I tightened my grip on the phone. "I'm going to the police." Her voice dropped an octave. "Jesus, Raylene, don't be so dramatic. It's just money. You act like we robbed you." "You did." She hung up. Still shaking, I called Mom. Told her everything. How I'd been used, lied to, how this crossed every line. Mom stayed quiet, and then said something that stopped me cold. "Maybe I just didn't want you to end up like your father." "What?" "You're so driven, Raylene. You've worked hard. I just didn't want you marrying some broke man like I did." I stared at the wall. "You left Dad because he was poor." Silence. All this time, was I just useful until I wasn't? That Friday, I was catching up on invoices when another fraud alert flashed across my phone. A $3,548 charge at Oak Plus Vine Interiors, a luxury furniture store uptown. I blinked. I hadn't used that emergency credit card in over a year. I kept it locked in my safe. I called the number listed. The woman on the line confirmed the transaction, cheerful as ever. It was a leather sectional, paid in full. Travis Langford picked it up himself. My heart dropped. "And you're sure it was on a card under Raylene Morris?" "Yes, ma'am. He said you were his co-signer and authorized it." I hung up before my temper boiled over the edge. Later that day, I drove straight to Carla's house. She answered in workout gear, sipping an iced coffee like she had no idea what kind of mess was spinning behind her. "You want to explain why Travis just used my credit card like it was his?" I asked, standing in her doorway. She didn't even blink. "You have better credit. It's not like it hurts you. You're out of your damn mind if you think I'm okay with this. You've always helped. What's one more time?" "That was theft, Carla. I'm cutting the card off today and reporting it." She scoffed. "Wow, you're such a martyr. You act like helping your family is a crime." "It is when no one respects the help." I turned and walked off before she could twist the knife deeper. That evening, still shaking, I called Mom. I expected her to gasp, to finally say, "Enough." Instead, she sighed. "I knew they needed some help. I didn't think it would go that far." "You knew?" I whispered. "I've been giving Carla a little something each month. She's raising 2 kids. You don't understand what it's like to be in that spot." "With what money?" I already knew the answer before she spoke. The money you send me, I thought it was okay. I thought you wouldn't miss it. I nearly dropped the phone. I gave you that to help with your rent, your meds. I used some for that. The rest went to Carla. She needed it. No apology, no shame. I stared out the window, watching a neighbor rake leaves with his son. Clean, simple, uncomplicated. It hit me all at once. I'd been propping up a family who never saw me as one of their own. I wasn't the safety net. I was the cushion they'd been stepping on to reach higher. That Sunday, I drove to Mom's. Not to yell, not to cry. Just to tell her where the line now stood. She opened the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, and we sat at the kitchen table, me with coffee, her with nerves. I know why you're here, she said, voice low. But baby, can't you just help one more time? I stared at her. Carla's drowning, Raylene. Travis is a mess. The kids need her steady. You've always been the one holding it together. Just a little more, just this once. She said it like she was asking me to hold a bag of groceries, not carry the emotional debt of a fractured family. I set my cup down. It's never just once, and it's never little. Her lip trembled, eyes watery. We're family. No, I said, we're a drain with blood ties. I stood up. That should have been the end. But as I reached for my purse in the hallway, I caught her voice from the bedroom, low, rushed. I paused. The door was cracked. Jacob yells at her all the time, controlling, you know? He's not who Raylene thinks he is. I worry. Carla, I froze. She was lying about Jacob, painting him as an abuser, to get more money, more sympathy, from the one woman I thought might still be neutral. I waited until the call ended. When I stepped back into the kitchen, Mom looked up, startled. Everything okay? I didn't answer, just said, You need to hear something. I told her what I'd heard. Her reaction? Not shock, not denial, just tired confusion. Maybe Carla misunderstood him. Maybe he snapped one time. She's lying, Mom. You know it. And if you give her another cent, if one more dollar goes her way, we're done. She didn't argue. She didn't stop me when I walked out. Back home, Jacob was working in the garage. I sat on the couch, keys still in hand. He came in, wiping his hands on a rag. Everything okay? I looked up at him. They don't get to keep writing this story. I do. The next morning, I made 3 calls, one to the bank, one to the credit bureau, and one to my financial advisor. By noon, every account with Carla or Travis's name was frozen, closed, or removed. The auto payments? Gone. Emergency credit line? Shut. Then I drafted the email. Effective immediately, I am no longer responsible for any financial obligations tied to Carla or Travis. Do not contact me for further assistance. Send, block, done. For the first time in months, I exhaled without bitterness catching in my throat. By nightfall, my silence shattered. The voicemails came first. Travis's voice sharp and fast. Real classy, Raylene. Leaving us high and dry. You think you're better than us now? Then Carla's texts. You selfish witch. You'll regret this. You always wanted to watch us fall, didn't you? Jacob sat beside me, phone on the coffee table vibrating nonstop. Don't reply, he said. They want a reaction. But I didn't need to answer. I needed to watch. And wait. Because 3 days later, a fraud alert pinged from my bank. Someone had tried to open a business checking account with my social security number and an old utility bill still in my name. I sat at my desk while the fraud agent read off the flagged address. It was Carla's. I didn't yell. I didn't even flinch. I just stood, grabbed my keys, and paced the kitchen while Jacob watched, eyes wide. She didn't just step over the line, I said through gritted teeth. She lit it on fire. I pulled out a legal pad from the drawer, flipped it open. Jacob came closer. You want me to call someone? No, I said, already writing. I'm calling the lawyer myself. The morning after my call to the lawyer, I found a thick manila envelope wedged in my mailbox. No return address. My name typed in bold, legal font. I opened it on the kitchen counter, my hands already tight with dread. Inside, court summons. A lawsuit had been filed in my name for a $24,000 business loan. My chest tightened. I hadn't signed anything, but there it was, my name listed as co-signer. Jacob skimmed through the papers beside me. This is forged. Again. It was Travis. The man had faked my signature before. This time, he'd gone bigger. Legal. This time, Jacob said firmly, we fight in court. I nodded, already moving to the office to scan and email every page to my attorney. Later that afternoon, I called Mom. I needed her to hear it from me. Maybe for once she'd take a side. She didn't. Honey, you always blow these things out of proportion. Mom, it's a lawsuit, not a misunderstanding. Silence. That night, Carla called. Her voice was syrupy sweet at first. I really think we need to stop all this. It's exhausting. Then, just beneath the sweetness, maybe if you weren't so cold, if you'd been warmer to us, maybe none of this would have happened. There it was again, the flip, the guilt, the gaslight. I gripped the phone, remembering all the times Carla skipped out on dishes while I scrubbed pans. The times I covered her rent, drove her daughter to school, paid for family vacations she never thanked me for. You don't get to rewrite this, I whispered. Not this time. After hanging up, I printed every document, made copies, and organized a file. Jacob handed me a USB with recordings and screenshots we'd saved. I wrote my final text to Carla. The next time you hear from me, it'll be through legal counsel. I deleted her contact. The next morning, I sat with my laptop and coffee, already drafting the paperwork with my lawyer on the line. But before we got too deep, Jacob placed a hand on my shoulder and said, "You should talk to Powers." I paused. "The tax attorney?" "She's more than that. She handles corporate fraud. Trust me." By noon, we were in her office. Miss Powers wore a slate gray suit and a gaze that didn't flinch. She reviewed every file, flipped through the forged loan, fake credit usage, and opened a second screen to pull up state legal codes. They violated both state and federal law, she said without blinking. Multiple counts. It's going to be ugly, but it's also going to be yours to win. She moved fast, faster than I expected. Within 48 hours, she had frozen every account tied to my name and filed cease and desist notices to every creditor connected to Carla or Travis. A sense of stillness washed over me, like the moment just before a storm clears. And suddenly, I wasn't holding the shield anymore. I had the sword. That night, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone. One from Thanksgiving 5 years ago caught my eye. Jacob in a wrinkled button-up, carving turkey while Carla rolled her eyes at his shoes. "Why are you with someone still in training?" she had said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Is ambition too much to ask for? Back then, I just smiled through it, defended him quietly, to anyone who asked. Now, he was the one defending me. He was the calm in the chaos, the wall they couldn't scale. Miss Powers moved forward with filing formal fraud reports. My name was removed from the debt. The mortgage, previously paid through my automatic transfers, was canceled. The bank began foreclosure on Carla's house. I didn't celebrate. I just watched the phone light up with Carla's name over and over, messages begging, screaming, blaming. I didn't read them. I didn't need to. I blocked her, again. Then I wrote one last thing, a certified letter sent through an overnight courier. You were never entitled to my life, or my money. Goodbye. The last of the court letters had been filed. The accounts closed, the mortgage canceled. It was over, at least on paper. The eviction notice for Carla and Travis came 2 weeks later. A neighbor I vaguely knew from childhood messaged me on Facebook. "So sorry to hear about your family. Can't believe they dragged you into that mess." Turns out, when people find out who's been footing the bill all these years, they stop feeling bad for the ones living large on lies. Carla's version of events unraveled quickly once the facts caught up with the fantasy. Still, I didn't gloat. I didn't forward screenshots or send smug replies. I just logged off. Mom tried calling the next week, left a voicemail about how we're still family and she never wanted this to happen. But I didn't return the call, not out of hatred, just clarity. I was done trying to stitch myself into a picture I was never invited to be part of. Instead, I turned back to my life. I restarted therapy, this time with a new counselor. One who didn't rush to ask about forgiveness, but rather focused on boundaries, self-worth, and silence that heals. I picked up my paintbrush again, joined a community art group, the kind of space where no one asked what your sister thought of you, only what colors moved you this week. Jacob and I opened a savings account together, something that symbolized building, not bailing people out. One night over tacos, he looked at me and said, "You finally chose yourself." And I did. Not out of revenge, but because I was tired of bleeding for people who never bothered to stop the knife. A month later, I stopped by Mom's house. She wasn't expecting me. I didn't come with a lecture or another warning. I came with a note, handwritten and sealed. "I love you, but I love myself now too." I left it on the kitchen table, next to her half-finished crossword puzzle. On the drive home, I didn't cry. I didn't feel empty. I didn't feel triumphant either. Just light. Peace, it turns out, isn't the absence of chaos. It's the decision to stop dancing in someone else's storm. Some battles leave no bruises, but we walk differently afterward. You know, if there's one thing this whole journey taught me, it's that boundaries aren't betrayal. Choosing peace over chaos, choosing yourself over being used, that's not selfish. That's survival. For so long I thought love meant tolerating pain, staying silent, and holding a family together no matter how much it cost me. But real love, it doesn't drain you. It protects, it respects. It stands with you, not on you. If you're watching this and you've been the giver, the fixer, the quiet backbone, no one thanks. I see you. And it's okay to stop. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. I'm still healing. Some days I miss the idea of family, but I found something better, a life that belongs to me. Now I'm curious. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved just to protect yourself? Or maybe you're still caught in the middle, afraid of what'll happen if you say, enough? I'd love to hear your story. If this video resonated with you, drop a 1 in the comments or just tell me where you're watching from. And hey, if it didn't sit right with you, I'm open. Tell me why. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another story like this, because sometimes hearing someone else's truth helps you finally speak your own. I'm Raylene, and this time, I chose me.
Hey, I'm Rolla, 33 years old, working as a marketing executive, and I've got quite the story to share about how my seemingly perfect life spiraled into chaos. 3 years ago, I thought I hit the jackpot. I met Tom at a work conference, tall, charming, with a smile that could light up a room. We clicked instantly, spending hours talking about anything and everything. But on our third date, he dropped a bombshell. He was a widower with a teenage daughter. "I hope this doesn't change anything," he said nervously. I remember laughing it off. "Are you kidding? I love kids." Little did I know what I was in for. At first, Lily, his daughter, seemed like the sweetest kid. Polite, all smiles. "It's so nice to meet you, Rolla," she chirped the first time we met. "Dad's told me so much about you." I did everything I could to bond with her. Shopping trips, movie marathons, even tried learning her favorite video game. But something always felt off, like she was wearing a mask. Sometimes the real Lily would slip through, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. Tom, bless him, never noticed. He'd beam at us, saying, "My 2 favorite girls getting along so well." Things really took a turn when I found out I was pregnant. Tom was ecstatic, spinning me around the kitchen, tears of joy in his eyes. "We're having a baby," he shouted. But Lily's reaction was different. "That's great," she said, but her voice was flat, and her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I tried to include her in the excitement. "You're going to be a big sister, Lily. Isn't that amazing?" She nodded, but I caught a fleeting look. Was it resentment? Anger? It vanished so quickly I wondered if I'd imagined it. As the months went by, odd things started happening. Important messages between me and Tom would disappear. Plans we made would get mixed up, and Lily always had a convenient explanation. "Oh, Dad must have forgotten to tell you," she'd say innocently. "He's been so busy." Her best friend, Zoe, was the only one who seemed to notice something wasn't right. She'd come over sometimes, and I'd catch her giving Lily these knowing glances. One day, Zoe pulled me aside. "Rolla, you're really cool, you know? Lily's lucky to have you as a stepmom." It was a small comment, but it meant the world to me. At least someone appreciated my efforts. As my due date got closer, the tension in the house became unbearable. Tom was constantly torn between me and Lily, and I could feel myself being pushed to the sidelines. One night, I finally said, Tom, we need to talk about Lily. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Rolla, please. She's just adjusting. It's a big change for her. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. The sweet girl I first met was gone, replaced by someone who watched me with cold, calculating eyes. By this point, I was juggling work, preparing for maternity leave, and dealing with the increasing strain at home. One morning, I woke up to find Lily in the kitchen making breakfast. Morning, Rolla. I made your favorite, blueberry pancakes. I smiled, touched by the gesture. Thanks, Lily, that's so sweet of you. But as I sat down, I noticed Tom frowning at his phone. Rolla, did you forget to send me the doctor's appointment details? I blinked, confused. No, I texted you yesterday. Lily quickly chimed in. Dad, remember? Your phone was acting up yesterday. Maybe the message didn't come through. This became a pattern. Important messages vanishing, plans falling apart, and Lily always had a perfectly timed explanation. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong at work. In the break room one day, I overheard hushed whispers. Did you hear about Tom's new wife? Apparently she's just after his money. My heart sank. Later, I confronted my coworker Lisa. Where did you hear that? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked uncomfortable, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I think Lily mentioned something at her school bake sale, but I'm sure it's just teenage gossip. My stomach turned. Lily was spreading rumors about me. I needed to talk to someone who would understand. I called my sister, Elena. I don't know what to do, I said, my voice breaking. It's like Lily's trying to push me out of the family. Elena's voice was sympathetic but firm. Rolla, you need to talk to Tom. This isn't right. But every time I tried to bring it up with Tom, he brushed it off. Honey, you're hormonal. Lily's just a kid. She doesn't mean any harm. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I imagining all of this? Things came to a head at my baby shower. Sarah, my best friend, had organized everything beautifully, but as the guests arrived, I noticed Lily whispering to Tom's family members, who began giving me odd looks. Later, I overheard Lily talking to Tom's mother. I'm just worried about the baby, Lily said, her voice sweet but laced with something darker. Rolla's been so unstable lately, forgetting things, getting upset over nothing. I just hope she'll be okay as a mom. Fury surged through me. I stormed over, ready to confront her. But in my anger, I knocked over a tray of cupcakes. Everyone turned to stare. Oh, Rolla, Lily exclaimed, her voice carrying through the room, full of mock concern. Are you okay? Here, let me help you. We don't want you getting too worked up in your condition. Humiliated, I froze. Tom rushed over, concern written all over his face. Rolla, maybe you should lie down, he said gently. You're looking a bit flushed. That night, I broke down in front of Sarah. I feel like I'm going crazy. No one believes me about Lily, I sobbed. Sarah hugged me tightly. I believe you. We'll figure this out, I promise. But before we could even begin, it happened. A sharp pain shot through my abdomen. I gasped, clutching my belly. Sarah, I think I'm in labor. Panic set in. It was too early. This couldn't be happening now. Stay calm, Sarah said, already dialing 911. We're getting you to the hospital. As the contractions intensified, I tried to reach Tom. No answer. I left a voicemail, my voice strained with pain. Tom, the baby's coming. Please, I need you. In the chaos, I caught sight of Lily standing in the doorway, her expression unreadable. As Sarah helped me to the car, I could have sworn I saw Lily pick up my phone, a small smile playing on her lips. My last thought before another wave of pain hit me was chilling. What if Tom never gets my message? What if, at the most important moment of our lives, Lily finally succeeds in keeping us apart? The drive to the hospital was a blur of agony and fear. Between contractions, I kept trying to call Tom. Come on, pick up, I muttered, dialing over and over. Sarah glanced at me, worry etched on her face. Still nothing. I shook my head, fighting back tears. The next few hours were the hardest of my life. The physical pain was excruciating, but the emotional agony of Tom's absence hurt even more. Sarah stayed by my side, whispering words of encouragement, but I'd never felt so alone. Finally, with one last push, my son entered the world. His cry filled the room, and for a brief moment, all the hurt and betrayal faded away. He's beautiful, Sarah whispered, tears in her eyes. I held him close, overwhelmed with love. But as the adrenaline wore off, the pain of Tom's absence hit me again. Where was he? Hours later, Tom burst into the room, his face pale and frantic. Rolla, I'm so sorry. I just got your messages. Lily said you were fine, that it was false labor. I stared at him, too exhausted and heartbroken to respond. He'd missed the birth of our son because he believed Lily over me, again. Lily trailed in behind him, her face a picture of wide-eyed innocence. Oh my gosh, the baby's here. I had no idea it was real. I feel terrible, she said, her voice dripping with fake regret. I watched her carefully, catching the glint of triumph in her eyes. She'd won. She'd stolen this moment from us. The next few days passed in a haze of hospital visits and awkward silences. Tom was full of apologies, but I could barely look at him. Lily played the role of doting sister, fussing over the baby while I withdrew into myself. One night, after Tom had fallen asleep in the hospital chair and Lily had gone home, I confided in Sarah and Elena. I can't do this anymore, I whispered, my voice breaking. I can't raise my son in this toxic environment. Elena squeezed my hand. What do you want to do? I took a deep breath. I want to leave. Start over somewhere new. They exchanged glances, then nodded. We'll help you, Sarah said firmly. Over the next week, as I recovered at home, we secretly made plans. Elena found me an apartment in another city, and Sarah helped me secure a job transfer. We quietly packed essentials and moved money, arranging everything while Tom was at work and Lily was at school. The night we chose to leave, I stood in the nursery, my son asleep peacefully in my arms. Tears streamed down my face as I looked around the room we'd so lovingly prepared. I'm sorry, baby, I whispered, but I had to protect both of us. I placed a letter on the kitchen table, short and simple, explaining that I couldn't live like this anymore. I told Tom he had to make a choice, his daughter or his son, and that I'd be in touch when I was ready. As Sarah's car pulled up outside, I took one last look at the house. Despite everything, a part of me still loved Tom. But sometimes, love just isn't enough. With my son in my arms and my heart in pieces, I walked out the door, ready to start a new chapter. One where we wouldn't be manipulated, gaslit, or pushed aside. One where we could finally be happy. As we drove away, I whispered to my sleeping son, "It's just you and me now, little one. But we're going to be okay, I promise." The next morning, I woke up to my son's cries, the unfamiliar surroundings of our new apartment momentarily disorienting me. As I fed him, my phone buzzed nonstop. Tom had discovered we were gone. His voicemails ranged from confused to desperate. Rolla, where are you? What's going on? Please call me back. I ignored them all, focusing on settling into our new life. But I couldn't help wondering about the chaos I'd left behind. Back at our old house, Tom was falling apart. Lily, thinking she had won, couldn't hide her smug smile. Dad, maybe it's for the best, she said. She was always causing problems. But her victory was short-lived. Zoe, unable to bear the guilt any longer, showed up at their door. Mr. Walker, there's something you need to know, she said, her voice shaking. For the next hour, Zoe spilled everything. The deleted messages, the rumors, Lily's deliberate attempts to sabotage our relationship. She even had screenshots of Lily bragging about her schemes. Tom listened, his face growing paler with each revelation. When Zoe finished, he turned to Lily, his voice barely a whisper. Is this true? Lily's facade crumbled. Tears streamed down her face as she shouted, You were supposed to choose me and Mom, not some replacement. The argument that followed was explosive. Years of pent-up resentment and manipulation came pouring out. In the end, Lily broke down completely, admitting to everything. Tom was devastated. He realized he had lost his wife and newborn son because he had been blind to his daughter's actions. Desperate, he tried everything to find us. Private investigators, social media posts, even contacting our old friends. But I had covered my tracks well. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my life. My new job was challenging but rewarding. I made new friends and joined a single mom support group. Slowly, I began to heal. About 6 months after I left, a letter arrived. My hands shook as I recognized Tom's handwriting. He poured his heart out, explaining everything Zoe had revealed and how he had confronted Lily. He wrote about enrolling her in intensive therapy and how they were now in family counseling together. I failed you, Rolla, he wrote. I failed our son. I was blind and stubborn, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But please, if you can, give me a chance to make amends. To be a father to our boy. I'll respect whatever boundaries you set. I miss you both so much. I sat there, tears falling onto the paper, conflicted. Part of me wanted to forgive him, to give our family another chance. But another part, the stronger part, remembered the pain, the gaslighting, the betrayal. I looked at my son, peacefully playing in his playpen, and made my decision. I wouldn't respond. Not yet. Maybe someday when the wounds had healed more, when I felt truly ready. But for now, we were doing fine on our own. I folded the letter and put it away. Then I picked up my son, kissing his chubby cheeks. What do you say we go to the park, little man? The story has ended, but what would you do if you were Rolla? Should she give Tom another chance or continue her new life without him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more stories that spark important conversations. Hey everyone, I'm Emily. I'm 16, and I've been bouncing around the foster system for as long as I can remember. Now here I am again, standing on the doorstep of another new house, clutching my worn-out suitcase of belongings. I've done this too many times, but something about this moment feels different. The door swings open, and there's Linda Anderson smiling wide and beaming with warmth. Emily, sweetie, we're so excited to have you join our family, she gushes, pulling me into a hug before I can react. It catches me off guard. Most foster parents treat me like I'm made of glass. But the Andersons, they're like something out of a Norman Rockwell painting. Rick, my new foster dad, grabs my bag with a friendly smile. Let's get you settled in, kiddo. Tyler, come meet your new sister, he calls, and out comes Tyler, their 18-year-old son. He looks like he just stepped out of a teen magazine. He gives me a nod and a casual hey, which is already more than I usually get from foster siblings. Linda takes me upstairs to my room, and I nearly choke. This is all for me. Of course, sweetie, Linda replies, beaming. We want you to feel at home here. For the first time in forever, I actually believe that maybe, just maybe, it's possible. When school starts, I meet Jade. She plops down next to me in homeroom, grinning like we're already best friends. New girl, huh? I'm Jade. Stick with me, and we'll run this place in no time. And just like that, I have my first real friend. Weeks go by, and I'm surprising myself. I'm acing tests, speaking up in class, and I even join the debate team. Mr. Thompson, our coach, pulls me aside one day after practice. Emily, you've got real talent for this. Have you thought about entering competitions? I'm floating on cloud 9. For once, I feel like I belong somewhere, but there's this nagging feeling I can't shake. Linda's always hovering, always asking where I'm going, who I'm with, and what I'm doing. At first, I think it's sweet she cares, right? One night, I'm heading out to study with Jade, and Linda stops me at the door. Emily, where are you going? To Jade's. I remind her. We've got a big test tomorrow. She frowns. I don't know, sweetie. It's a school night. Rick calls from the living room. Let her go, Lynn. She's been working hard. Linda steps aside reluctantly but adds, be back by 9 sharp. As I walk to Jade's, I can't help but wonder if I'm just being paranoid. Isn't this what real parents do? Care about where you are, who you're with? But then I remember all the homes before this one, all the broken promises and shattered hopes. I try to push the thoughts away. This time is different. It has to be, right? I thought everything was finally looking up, but I was so wrong. It started small. My favorite hoodie went missing, then my phone charger. I figured I was just being forgetful. But then I noticed my dinner portions were getting smaller and smaller. I tried to brush it off, but something felt off. One day at lunch, I couldn't take it anymore. I spilled everything to Jade. I swear, Jade, I'm not crazy. My stuff keeps disappearing and I'm always hungry lately. Jade's eyes narrowed. That's not okay. Have you thought about setting up a camera in your room? A camera? Isn't that a bit extreme? Not if someone's stealing from you, Jade insisted. My cousin had a similar problem with her roommate. I can get you a small hidden cam, just to be sure. I hesitated, spying on the Andersons, but when my birthday necklace, the only thing I had left from my birth mom, vanished, I knew I had to do something. Setting up the camera was nerve-wracking. Every creak in the house made me jump. Still, I did it. And then I waited. 2 days later, I checked the footage, my hands trembling as I pressed play. There, clear as day, was Linda. She was rifling through my drawers, pocketing my things, even taking food I had stashed away. "No way," I whispered, feeling sick. But it got worse. I dug deeper and discovered Linda had been selling my stuff online. She had an entire account filled with listings, my clothes, my books, even that necklace. I was reeling, trying to make sense of it all when I overheard Linda and Rick arguing downstairs. "Lynn, we can't keep doing this. The gambling has to stop," Rick said, his voice tense. "I've got it under control, Rick," Linda snapped. "Besides, it's not like the kid needs all that stuff anyway. That's not the point. We're supposed to be helping her, not." I couldn't listen anymore. I burst into the room, shaking with anger. "How could you? I trusted you." Linda's face went pale, then hardened. "Emily, sweetie, I don't know what you think you heard, but don't. I saw you. On camera. I found your online account. You've been stealing from me." Rick looked bewildered. "Camera? Emily, what are you talking about?" Linda's voice turned ice cold. "I knew you were trouble from the start. Always snooping, never grateful. You know what happens to foster kids who can't adjust, don't you?" My blood ran cold. "You wouldn't. Try me," she hissed. Rick put a hand on her shoulder, trying to calm the situation. "Now let's all take a breath. I'm sure there's an explanation." An explanation. I couldn't believe it. She admitted to gambling away my stuff. Just then, Tyler walked in, looking confused. "What's going on?" Linda burst into tears. "Oh, Tyler. Emily's accusing me of horrible things after everything we've done for her." I stood there in disbelief as both Rick and Tyler rushed to comfort Linda, casting me accusatory glances as if I were the one in the wrong. "Emily, maybe you should go to your room," Rick said sternly. Now, I fled upstairs, my world collapsing. How did this happen? How did I become the bad guy? Sitting on my bed, surrounded by the few possessions I had left, I felt more alone than ever. The family I thought I finally found had turned into just another nightmare. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone and texted Jade. "You were right. It's worse than we thought. I need help." I felt like I was drowning, like everything was closing in on me. But I knew I couldn't just sit there and take it. I had to fight back. The next day at school, I cornered Jade and Mr. Thompson after debate practice. "I need your help," I whispered, barely able to keep my voice steady. "It's bad. Really bad." Mr. Thompson's face grew serious. "Emily, what's going on?" I spilled everything. The stealing, the gambling, the gaslighting. By the time I finished, Jade was fuming and Mr. Thompson looked grim. "This is serious, Emily. We need to handle this carefully," he said. Jade nodded. "We need a plan. Something bulletproof." We huddled together, speaking in hushed tones as we hashed out our plan. "First things first," Mr. Thompson said. "Emily, you need to play along. Act like you believe Linda's lies. We need time to gather more evidence." I nodded, even though the thought made my skin crawl. "I'll help set up more cameras," Jade offered. "We'll catch her red-handed." "Good," Mr. Thompson agreed. "I'll reach out to your social worker discreetly. We'll need official channels involved." For the next few weeks, I became an actress worthy of an Oscar. Every time Linda gaslit me, I nodded and apologized. "You're right, Linda. I must have misplaced it, or I'm sorry for accusing you. I was just confused." All the while, I was documenting everything. Every missing item, every shrinking portion of food, every manipulative conversation. Jade and I even set up cameras in the living room and kitchen. When the Andersons were out one day, I decided to check the attic. Call it a hunch. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were boxes upon boxes of stuff, clothes, toys, electronics. None of it was mine. With trembling hands, I opened one. Inside was a photo album filled with pictures of smiling kids, other foster kids who had lived here before me. "Oh my God," I whispered. "I'm not the first." Hidden behind the boxes, I found a locked file cabinet. Thanks to the lockpicking skills I picked up in some less than ideal foster homes, I managed to crack it open. Inside were financial records, details of online sales going back years, and gambling debts. Everything, I snapped pictures with shaky hands before carefully putting everything back exactly as I had found it. That night, I used the burner email account Jade had set up for me. I reported Linda's online selling accounts for fraud, attaching the photos I'd taken as proof. The next day at school, I met up with Jade and Mr. Thompson. I found something, I said, my voice hoarse. It's bigger than we thought. There were others before me. Mr. Thompson's face darkened. This ends now. I've been in touch with your social worker and the police. They're ready to move, but they needed solid evidence. This could be it. Jade squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing, Em. We've got your back. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. Okay, let's do this. Let's take her down. As I walked home that day, my heart was pounding. I knew that soon, very soon, everything was going to change again. But this time, I wasn't going to be the victim. This time, I was fighting back. I just hoped it would be enough. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I came home from school, my stomach in knots, knowing what was about to go down. As I walked in, I saw Linda frantically shoving things into a closet. Emily, you're home early, she said, trying to sound casual. Before I could respond, there was a loud knock at the door. Linda froze. Mrs. Anderson, this is social services. We need to speak with you. Everything after that was a blur. Social workers and police swarmed the house. They found everything, the stolen items, the gambling records, even evidence of neglect toward past foster kids. I'll never forget the look on Linda's face when they cuffed her. She glared at me, her eyes filled with hate. You ungrateful little. An officer cut her off. Mrs. Anderson, you have the right to remain silent. Rick and Tyler were shell-shocked. They kept insisting they had no idea, but the cops weren't buying it. They were cuffed too. Months later, I stood in court, my hands shaking as I prepared to give my statement. Your Honor, I'm not just speaking for myself today. I'm speaking for every kid who's ever felt powerless in a system that was supposed to protect them. I poured my heart out, telling our story, not just mine, but of all the foster kids who had suffered under Linda's care. When I finished, the courtroom was dead silent. The judge didn't go easy on them. Linda got prison time. Rick and Tyler got probation and mandatory counseling. It wasn't everything I'd hoped for, but it was something. After the trial, Jade's family took me in temporarily. It was weird living in a house where I didn't have to worry about my stuff disappearing or going hungry. Fast forward 2 years, and here I am, rocking my freshman year of college on a full scholarship. I started a support group for foster kids on campus. We're small, but we're mighty. I'm even working with some law students to push for foster care reform. Last week, I got a letter from Linda. She's up for parole soon and wants to make amends. I read it once, then tossed it in the trash. I've got no room in my life for toxic people anymore. Looking back, I realized that what happened with the Andersons, as awful as it was, made me stronger. It showed me that I could stand up for myself, that I could make a difference. To all the foster kids out there feeling lost and alone, I see you, I was you. And let me tell you, it gets better. You're stronger than you know. Don't let anyone dim your light. As for me, I'm just getting started. Watch out, world. Emily's coming through, and I'm bringing change with me. If you were in my shoes, would you have given Linda a chance to make amends after her time in prison? Or do you think some betrayals are just too big to forgive? Hey there, I'm Galina. I'm 28, and I've got this wild knack for transforming spaces into something magical. Interior design isn't just my career, it's my passion. Give me a drab room, and I'll turn it into something that looks like it's straight out of a glossy magazine spread. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the feeling when the vision comes to life. My life felt like the perfect design. Everything in its place, stylish and under control. I had an incredible fiancé, Mark. He's an engineer, brilliant and not to mention, adorable. We were in the middle of planning our wedding. And let me tell you, Pinterest had nothing on our ideas. Babe, what do you think about a rustic chic theme? I asked one night, flipping through our mood board. Mark grinned, pulling me closer. As long as I get to marry you, you could go with dumpster chic, and I'd still be happy. That was Mark, always supportive, always making me laugh. Work was amazing too. I just scored a huge project redesigning the Starlight Hotel, a super chic spot downtown that was ready for a total overhaul. My best friend and partner in design, Tara, practically screamed when I told her. Do you have any idea what this could do for your career? She squealed, practically bouncing out of her chair. You're going to be the next Victoria. Ah, Victoria. She was my mentor and the queen of interior design. Straight out of college, she took me under her wing, teaching me everything. I owe her so much. Galina, darling, she'd say in that elegant accent of hers, you've got an eye for beauty. Now, let's make sure the world sees it. But not everyone was so thrilled about my success. My cousin Carla, for example, always had a competitive streak. Every family gathering, there she was with her plaster-on smile. Oh, Galina, she'd say, voice dripping with fake sweetness, still playing with dollhouses, are we? I'd bite my tongue, reminding myself that success is the best revenge. Then there was Uncle Robert, a big-shot real estate developer always talking deals and making moves. Lately, he'd been showing a lot of interest in Mark. Mark, my boy, he'd boom, clapping Mark on the back. We should talk business sometime. I could use someone with a sharp mind like yours. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I was too busy living the dream. My career was taking off, and I was planning the wedding of my dreams. Life was perfect. One night, Mark and I were curled up on the couch, flipping through wedding magazines. I couldn't help but feel like I was living a fantasy. You know, I said, snuggling closer, I never thought I'd have all this. A great career, an amazing fiancé. Mark kissed the top of my head. You deserve it all, G, and more. Little did I know, my perfectly designed life was about to undergo a major, unwanted renovation. But that's life, right? Sometimes you've got to tear everything down before you can rebuild something even better. The Starlight Hotel project quickly became my entire world. I was pulling 12-hour days, sometimes more, with my design board covered in fabric swatches, paint samples, and sketches. Exhausting? Yes. Exciting? Absolutely. Galina, darling, remember to breathe, Victoria reminded me during one of our calls. The hotel isn't going anywhere. I laughed it off. I'll sleep when I'm dead, Vic, or at least when this project is finished. But while I was crafting my masterpiece, my personal life was starting to fall apart. Mark was acting distant, spending more and more time with Uncle Robert. He'd come home late, reeking of expensive cigars and whiskey. How was your day? I'd ask bleary-eyed after hours of staring at blueprints. Fine, he'd mumble, barely looking up from his phone. Just business stuff with Robert, you wouldn't understand. I tried to brush it off. We were both busy, right? It was just a phase. But then I started noticing other things, like how Carla was suddenly showing up at every family dinner, always finding a reason to sit next to Mark. Oh, Mark, you're so funny, she giggled, touching his arm in a way that made my skin crawl. I confided in Tara over coffee one day. Am I imagining things, or is something off? I asked, stirring my latte anxiously. Tara frowned, setting down her spoon. Honey, I think you need to talk to Mark. Communication is key, remember? I nodded, determined to fix things every time I tried to talk to Mark. Something always seemed to come up. A late meeting, drinks with Robert, or some sudden work emergency. Then came the night that shattered everything. I had wrapped up early at the hotel site and decided to surprise Mark with dinner. As I walked into La Bella, our favorite Italian restaurant, my heart stopped. There, in a cozy corner booth, were Mark and Carla, laughing and holding hands across the table. I stood frozen, my world tilting as I watched Mark lean in and kiss her. I must have made a sound because suddenly they both looked up, their faces painted with shock. Under different circumstances, it might have been comical, but at that moment I was dying inside. Galina. Mark jumped to his feet, his face pale. This isn't. But it was, so clearly it was. I don't even remember leaving the restaurant. The next thing I knew, I was home, with Mark pounding on the door, begging me to let him explain. Explain what exactly? My voice was ice. Mark's shoulders slumped. I'm so sorry, Jill. I never meant for this to happen. It's just you've been so busy, and Carla, she understands me. You what? I spat, fury coursing through me. You fell in love while I was working my ass off to build a future for us. It's not like that, he protested weakly. Robert's been showing me all these amazing business opportunities and Carla's been helping. I held up my hand, unable to bear another word. Get out. Galina, please. I said, get out. I screamed, grabbing the nearest object, a vase he'd given me, and hurled it against the wall. It shattered spectacularly, and with it, my life. Mark hesitated for a moment before leaving. As the door clicked shut, I sank to the floor, surrounded by broken glass and broken dreams. How had everything fallen apart so fast? What had I done wrong? I don't know how long I sat there, tears streaming down my face. Finally, I reached for my phone with trembling hands and dialed Tara. Tara, I choked out when she answered, "Can you come over? I need you." When Tara arrived, I was still sitting in the wreckage of my perfect life, unsure how to even begin piecing it back together. The next few weeks passed in a blur of fabric swatches and paint samples. I threw myself into the Starlight Hotel project, working insane hours, anything to keep my mind off everything that had happened. "Galina, you can't keep this up," Tara said one night, forcibly pulling me away from my desk. "You need to deal with what happened." I sighed, running a hand through my messy hair. What's there to deal with? My fiancé left me for my cousin. End of story. But Tara and Victoria weren't letting it go that easily. They tag-teamed me, urging me to think about what really happened. "Something doesn't add up," Victoria mused. Mark's change was too sudden. And Robert's involvement. We started digging, and it wasn't easy. But between Victoria's connections and Tara's talent for social media sleuthing, we uncovered a web of lies that made my head spin. "Look at this," Tara said, pointing to her laptop screen. "All of Robert's recent projects are failing. He's desperate for cash." Suddenly, everything clicked. Robert's interest in Mark, the late-night business meetings, Carla's constant presence. He's using them. I realized, my stomach turning. He's promising Mark some huge break and using Carla to sweeten the deal. But we needed proof. That's when I came up with a plan. Crazy, but just crazy enough to work. "Tara," I said, a glimmer of my old fire returning, "I need you to leak some info. Make it look like you've got an inside scoop on a massive development deal. Something irresistible." Tara grinned, cracking her knuckles. "Oh honey, leave it to me. I'll make it so juicy they'll be drooling." We crafted the perfect bait. A fake luxury condo project with the promise of sky-high returns. Tara accidentally let it slip at a family gathering, making sure Mark and Carla overheard. It worked like a charm. Within days, Mark was calling, trying to wheedle information out of me. "Come on, G," he cajoled. "For old time's sake, this could be my big break." I played dumb, pretending I didn't know I was being manipulated. Meanwhile, I documented everything, every call, every text, every chance encounter engineered by Robert. The clincher came when I accidentally left some fake blueprints in my car. Mark and Carla took the bait. Hook, line, and sinker. "They've invested everything," Tara reported, her eyes wide. "And I mean everything. They even took out loans." I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. "What about Robert?" Victoria asked, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Oh, darling," she said with a sly smile, "Robert's in so deep he can't see daylight. He's betting it all on this fake project." As I looked at the mountain of evidence we gathered, fake contracts, recorded conversations, bank statements, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. "You know," I said quietly, part of me hoped we were wrong. That there was some explanation that didn't involve Mark being this. Tara squeezed my hand. "I know, hun. But you deserve better than someone who could be manipulated like this," Tara said gently. I nodded, feeling the weight of truth in her words. "You're right." I squared my shoulders, determination replacing the hurt. "So, what's our next move?" Victoria's smile was sharp, her eyes gleaming with a predatory spark. "Now, my dear, we wait. Let them dig themselves in deeper, and when the time is right, we pull the rug out from under them." A fierce sense of justice surged through me. As I looked at my friends, my real support system, I realized something important. My perfect life may have shattered, but from the pieces, I was building something stronger, something unbreakable. "Ladies," I said, raising my glass of wine, "here's to Karma. May she be swift, merciless, and wearing killer heels." We clinked glasses, laughing for the first time in what felt like forever. For the first time in weeks, I felt like myself again. Watch out, world, Galina 2.0 was on her way, and she wasn't taking prisoners. The day of reckoning came faster than any of us expected. One minute, Uncle Robert was bragging about his latest sure thing investment. The next, his empire was crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. I was putting the finishing touches on the Starlight Hotel's grand ballroom when Tara burst in, waving her phone. Jel, you're not going to believe this. Robert's company just filed for bankruptcy. It was like watching dominoes fall. Robert's string of bad investments, combined with the non-existent project that Mark and Carla had thrown all their money into, spelled financial disaster for the entire lot of them. I didn't have to wait long for the fallout. Mark showed up at my door looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Belina, please," he begged, his eyes bloodshot. "I've lost everything. The money, my job. Carla left me. I need your help." I looked at him, the man I once thought I'd spend my life with, and felt nothing. "No," I said simply. His face crumpled in disbelief. "But we were going to get married. Doesn't that mean anything?" I laughed, but it was hollow, empty of any humor. "It meant everything to me, Mark. But clearly, it didn't mean enough to you. I know all about Robert's manipulation and how you and Carla fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker." The color drained from his face. You knew?" "I knew." I crossed my arms, feeling stronger than I had in months. "I know everything. Now get out." As I closed the door on his stunned face, a weight lifted off my shoulders. The burden of what might have been was gone, and I felt lighter, freer. The next day, I made an anonymous call to the financial regulators, tipping them off about Robert's fraudulent practices. It was the final nail in his coffin. Meanwhile, the Starlight Hotel project was a smash hit. The grand opening was a who's who of the design world, and I was the star of the show. At the after-party, Victoria hugged me tightly. "Darling, you've outdone yourself. This is just the beginning for you." She was right. Riding the wave of success, Tara and I decided to start our own firm. Designs by G&T was born, and we hit the ground running. 1 year later, I stood in our sleek downtown office, looking out over the city. Our firm had a waiting list a mile long, full of high-profile clients eager for our touch. Tara waltzed in, coffee in hand. "Guess who I just saw slinging lats at the corner cafe?" she asked, grinning. "Carla." "Oh, how the mighty have fallen," I said, shaking my head, smiling. "Let it go, T. We've got bigger fish to fry." And we did. We were already planning our international expansion, with potential offices in London and Tokyo. As for the others, last I heard, Uncle Robert was facing a slew of legal troubles, his business empire dismantled. Mark was struggling to find work, his reputation in tatters. They were all persona non grata at family gatherings now. Sometimes late at night, I think about how different my life could have been if things had worked out the way I once imagined. But then I'd look at everything I'd accomplished, the strength I found in myself, and I knew I wouldn't change a thing. "Hey, boss lady," Tara called, snapping me out of my thoughts. "The clients for the Dubai project are here, ready to wow them." I grinned, straightening my designer blazer. "Born ready, T, let's show them what we've got." As we walked into the conference room, I felt a surge of pride and excitement. The pain of betrayal, that was old news. I had a world to design, and nothing was going to hold me back. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice strong and confident, "let me show you the future of luxury living." Hey everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm 32, crushing it as a marketing executive, living what seemed like the perfect life with my husband, Mike, a successful lawyer. We had a beautiful house in the suburbs, spent weekends brunching with friends, the whole package. Then Mike's sister, Amanda, lost her job and needed a place to stay. I wasn't thrilled, but hey, family's family, right? Big mistake. At first, it was small things. My favorite sweater would disappear, only to magically reappear in Amanda's laundry. Oh, I thought it was mine. She'd say with that fake laugh that set my nerves on edge. Then, one night as Mike and I were getting ready for a date, I noticed my go-to lipstick was missing. I stormed into Amanda's room, and there she was, wearing it. "What the hell, Amanda?" I snapped. She had the audacity to look offended. "Calm down, Sarah. It's just lipstick. We're sisters now, remember?" I looked to Mike for backup, but he just sighed. "Babe, don't make a big deal out of nothing. Amanda's going through a tough time." That's when I knew something was really off. But it got worse. I started noticing cash disappearing, minus $20 here, $50 there. When I brought it up to Mike, he barely looked up from his phone. Maybe you just forgot you spent it or miscounted. I couldn't believe it. My own husband was gaslighting me. Things escalated when I checked my desk drawer and realized $500 from my emergency stash was gone. I confronted Amanda in the kitchen. "Have you been taking money from my desk?" I asked. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Are you seriously accusing me of stealing after all your family's done for me?" Before I could reply, Mike walked in just as Amanda burst into tears. "Sarah thinks I'm a thief. How could she say that?" And just like that, I was the bad guy. Mike wrapped his arm around Amanda, glaring at me. "Jesus, Sarah, what's wrong with you? Amanda would never do that." That night, lying in bed next to a husband who felt like a stranger, I knew I had to take matters into my own hands. If no one else believed me, I'd have to get proof myself. Little did I know, what I uncovered would turn my entire life upside down in ways I never imagined. So stay tuned, because this story is just getting started. After that confrontation, I was done feeling crazy and powerless in my own home. It was time to catch Amanda in the act. I went to an office supply store and bought some invisible ink. Back home, I marked a few $20s and $50s with it. No one could tell the difference, but under UV light, they'd reveal the truth. I carefully placed the marked bills in my desk drawer, counting them exactly. Then I set up a tiny hidden camera inside a picture frame on my bookshelf, with a perfect view of the desk. At dinner that night, the tension was thick. Amanda was going on about some new guy she'd met, and Mike was hanging on her every word. I quietly pushed my food around, trying to keep my cool. "You okay, babe?" Mike finally asked, noticing my silence. "Just tired from work," I lied. Amanda smirked. "Maybe you should take a vacation. All that stress isn't good for your skin." I bit my tongue so hard I could taste blood. The next few days were agony. Every time I came home, I'd rush to check the camera and count the money. Nothing. Until day 4. Bingo. I watched the footage, my heart pounding. There she was, Amanda, bold as ever, rummaging through my drawer. She pocketed $3.20s and had the nerve to fix her hair in my mirror before leaving. I was shaking with anger, but I knew I had to play this smart. Later that day, I found Amanda in the kitchen. "Hey, can we talk?" I kept my voice calm. She turned with an innocent smile. "Sure, what's up?" "I know you've been taking money from my desk," I said, my tone flat. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "Excuse me? Are you on something?" "Cut the act, Amanda. I have proof," I said, keeping my composure. "If you come clean now and pay me back, we can handle this quietly. Otherwise..." "Otherwise what?" She sneered. "You'll tell Mike? Good luck with that. He'd never believe you over his baby sister." I stepped closer. "You sure about that? Because I've got you on camera." For a second, fear flickered in her eyes before she forced a laugh. "Nice try, Sarah. You're bluffing." "Am I? You willing to bet your relationship with Mike on that?" She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I leaned against the counter, my heart racing. I'd given her a chance to come clean and make things right, but she chose to double down on her lies. Fine. If that's how she wanted to play it, I was done being nice. The annual family barbecue was coming up this weekend. Mike's parents, cousins, and even our nosy neighbors would be there. I smiled to myself, imagining the scene that was about to unfold. Amanda thought she was so clever, but she had no idea what was coming. By the end of Sunday night, everyone would know the truth about her. When the day finally arrived, I was a bundle of nerves, having rehearsed what I was going to say over and over in my head. As guests started arriving, I put on a fake smile and played the perfect hostess. Amanda was in her element, floating around, laughing a little too loudly at everyone's jokes. I caught her eyeing me a few times, probably wondering if I'd actually follow through on my threat. Once everyone had arrived and the food was served, I knew it was time. I clinked my glass to get everyone's attention. "Hey, everyone," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've got a little presentation I'd like to share." Mike frowned. "Babe, what are you doing?" I ignored him and connected my laptop to the TV. "I've noticed some money going missing lately, and I think we all deserve to know the truth." The room fell silent as I pressed play. In crystal clear HD, Amanda appeared on screen, sneaking into my office and pocketing cash. Gasps echoed through the room. Amanda went pale. That's not what it looks like, she stammered. But I wasn't done. I pulled out a UV light and walked over to her purse. Mind if I check something? Before she could object, I dumped the contents onto the table, bills scattered everywhere. I shone the light on them, revealing the invisible ink marks. Funny how all this marked money from my desk ended up in your purse, huh, Amanda? The room erupted. Mike's mom started crying, his dad was shouting, and our neighbors were whispering furiously. Amanda crumbled, sobbing. I'm sorry, I have a gambling problem. I needed the money for debts. I turned to Mike, expecting him to finally see the truth. But his face was twisted in rage at me. How dare you, he hissed. You set up my sister and humiliated her in front of everyone. I blinked, stunned. Are you kidding me? She's been stealing from us for months. Get out. Now. What? This is my house too. Not anymore. I want a divorce. Pack your things and leave. I looked around the room, hoping for someone, anyone, to defend me, but all I got were blank stares. Everyone was too shocked to speak. Tears stung my eyes as I ran upstairs, tossing clothes into a bag. As I headed for the door, I could hear Amanda's over-the-top sobs and Mike's soothing voice. It's okay, sis. We'll get you help. Sarah's gone now. I slammed the door behind me, my entire world collapsing around me. I'd exposed the truth. But somehow, I was the one being punished. As I drove away, it hit me. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of my fight for justice. That night, I crashed at my best friend Lisa's place. When I told her what happened, she was livid. That manipulative little witch. Lisa fumed. And Mike? He's out of his mind? I nodded, still numb. I know. I can't believe it either. The next morning, I called in sick and met with a divorce lawyer. She listened to my story, shaking her head. We'll file for divorce on grounds of emotional abuse, she said, and we'll make sure to highlight Mike's defense of a thief in the household. Over the next few weeks, I buried myself in work. My boss noticed my long hours and stellar presentations, calling me into his office one day. Sarah, I don't know what sparked this fire in you, but it's impressive. How would you feel about heading up our new digital marketing division? I nearly cried with relief. I'd love to, thank you so much. Meanwhile, Karma was busy catching up with Amanda and Mike. Word got around that Amanda's gambling had spiraled out of control, leading to her being caught embezzling from her new job. She was facing serious charges. As for Mike, his defense of Amanda backfired in spectacular fashion. His colleagues were whispering behind his back, and he lost a major case due to his distraction. The firm demoted him to junior partner. About 6 months after the barbecue fiasco, I was signing the lease on my new apartment when my phone buzzed. It was Mike. Sarah, can we talk? I made a huge mistake. I laughed bitterly. You're just realizing that now. Please, I want to apologize. Maybe we can work things out. Not a chance, Mike. I've moved on. Don't contact me again. I hung up, feeling lighter than I had in months. That night, I treated myself to a fancy dinner and even adopted a scruffy little rescue dog I named Justice. A few weeks later, I hosted a housewarming party. Lisa raised her glass for a toast. To Sarah, the strongest, bravest woman I know. You stood up for yourself and came out on top. We're all so proud of you. Looking around at my true friends in my new home, tears welled up, but this time they were happy tears. Thanks, everyone. You know, when Mike kicked me out, I thought my life was over. But really, it was just beginning. I've learned who my real friends are, and more importantly, I've learned how strong I can be. As the party wound down, Lisa pulled me aside. So, any regrets about exposing Amanda? I paused, then shook my head. Nope. It was tough, but I'd do it all over again. No one has the right to steal from you or make you feel crazy for standing up for yourself. That night, as I curled up in bed with Justice at my feet, I realized something important. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find out what you're really made of. And me? I'm made of tougher stuff than I ever imagined. The story's over, but I want to hear from you. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed Amanda at the family barbecue or handled it privately? Was public humiliation justified, or did I go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could help someone in a similar situation. And if you enjoyed this wild ride, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama and lessons learned the hard way. Trust me, I've got plenty more stories where this came from. Let's navigate life's craziness together. Hi, I'm Evelyn. I'm 45 and I run my own interior design business. Pretty cool, right? But it wasn't always smooth sailing. I built this from the ground up after my first husband passed away. Life has a funny way of knocking you down, but you've got to get back up. Anyway, 2 years ago, I thought I hit the jackpot. I married Robert Carter, a handsome widower with a teenage daughter, Melissa. Let me tell you, blending families is no joke, especially when you're dealing with a chronic respiratory condition that has me lugging around an oxygen tank 24/7. Evelyn, honey, are you sure you're up for this? Robert asked one day, eyeing my oxygen tank. Robert, I've designed penthouses while hooked up to this thing. Trust me, I can handle a teenager, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. But man, was I wrong about Melissa. That girl was something else. Cold as ice. Always ready with a snide comment. Nice tank, Evelyn, really matches your shoes, she'd say, dripping with sarcasm. I tried everything to bond with her, shopping trips, cooking together, even offered to redecorate her room. Nothing worked. I don't need your charity, she snapped when I suggested updating her bedroom. Robert, bless him, tried to mediate, but he travels so much for work he barely saw what was really going on. Girls, can't we all just get along? He pleaded before jetting off again. Things started getting weird around the house. My designs for clients would go missing, only to turn up crumpled in the trash. Items would disappear from my studio and reappear days later in odd places. One night, I asked Melissa about a missing client file. Sweetie, have you seen the Johnson file? It was on my desk yesterday. She looked at me with those cold eyes. Maybe you should be more careful with your things, Evelyn. It's not my fault you're getting forgetful in your old age. I was fuming but kept my cool. Melissa, I'm trying here. Can't we at least be civil? She just rolled her eyes and walked away. That's when I started doubting myself. Was I really getting forgetful? Was the stress of my condition making me paranoid? Then Robert announced his 2-week business trip to Asia. A chill ran down my spine at the thought of being alone with Melissa for that long. You'll be fine, babe, Robert assured me, kissing my forehead. It'll be a great chance for you two to bond. As I watched him drive away, Melissa appeared beside me with a strange smile. Just you and me now, Evelyn. This should be fun. I forced a smile, but inside I was dreading it. Little did I know, things were about to get much worse. The first few days after Robert left, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. My breathing got worse, and I found myself reaching for my inhaler more than usual. Something wasn't right. One morning, I woke up gasping for air. I fumbled for my oxygen tank, but even with the mask on, I didn't feel any better. That's when alarm bells started ringing in my head. Melissa, I called out, my voice weak. Can you come here for a sec? She appeared in the doorway, looking annoyed. What now? I'm not feeling well. Could you call Dr. Thompson for me? She rolled her eyes. Can't you do it yourself? I'm busy. As she walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I called my friend Jack, who works in security. Hey Jack, I need a favor. Can you hook me up with some hidden cameras? Sure thing, Evie. Everything okay? I hope so. Just being cautious. The next day, while Melissa was at school, I installed the cameras throughout the house. I felt guilty, but I needed to know what was happening. It didn't take long for the footage to reveal the horrifying truth. There was Melissa, clear as day, tampering with my oxygen tank. My heart nearly stopped as I watched her replace the oxygen with another canister. Oh my God, I whispered, my hands trembling as I replayed the video. I wanted to confront her immediately, but something held me back. I needed more evidence. If I was going to accuse my stepdaughter of attempted murder, I had to be absolutely certain. Over the next few days, I pretended everything was normal while secretly gathering more information. I checked my business accounts and noticed discrepancies, money was missing, and it all traced back to Melissa. Then the phone calls started from clients. Evelyn, is everything okay? I heard you were closing down the business due to health issues. My blood ran cold. What? Who told you that? Your stepdaughter called to cancel our appointment. She said you were too sick to continue working. I was furious, but I kept my composure. There must be some misunderstanding. I'm perfectly fine to work. As I dug deeper, I uncovered more lies. Melissa had been telling Robert that I was mistreating her, fabricating stories about me locking her out of the house and withholding food. How could he believe this? I muttered as I scrolled through their text messages on the family iPad. One evening, while I was working late in my studio, I overheard Melissa on the phone. "Yeah, babe, it's all set. When Dad gets back, we'll stage the accident." With her oxygen tampered, it'll look like her condition finally got the best of her. I clasped my hand over my mouth, stifling a gasp. This wasn't just teenage rebellion. This was a calculated plan to kill me. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone. It was time to call for help, but who could I trust? And how could I protect myself until help arrived? As I heard Melissa's footsteps approaching, I quickly pretended to be asleep at my desk, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. "Sweet dreams, Evelyn," she said in a sickeningly sweet voice as she passed by. "Hope you're feeling better tomorrow." In that moment, I knew I wouldn't sleep a wink that night. I had to stay alert, stay alive, and figure out how to expose Melissa's true nature before it was too late. The next morning, my mind raced with plans. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. "Sarah, it's Evelyn. I need your help." Detective Sarah Thompson had been my friend since college. We'd lost touch over the years, but if anyone could help me now, it was her. "Ev, what's wrong? You sound terrible." I took a deep breath. "Sarah, I'm in danger. My stepdaughter is trying to kill me." I spent the next hour detailing everything I discovered. Sarah listened intently, occasionally interrupting with questions. "Jesus, Ev, this is serious. We need to set up a sting operation. Can you hold out for a few more days?" I glanced nervously at my bedroom door. "I think so, but Sarah, please hurry." Next, I called my lawyer. "Michael, I need you to freeze my business accounts and set up protective measures." And Michael, not a word to anyone, especially not Robert. With those calls made, I steeled myself to face Melissa. I had to keep pretending everything was normal while Sarah set up the operation. "Morning, Melissa," I said, forcing a smile as I entered the kitchen. She barely glanced up from her phone. "Whatever." Over the next few days, I played the role of the oblivious stepmother, all while secretly working with Sarah. We set up additional cameras and recording devices throughout the house. One afternoon, while Melissa was out, Sarah called with shocking news. "Ev, we've been digging into Melissa's boyfriend, Jake. He's part of a major drug ring. We think they've been using your business to launder money." My head spun. "What? How is that possible?" "The missing money from your accounts, it's being funneled through a series of shell companies. Melissa's been the inside person." I felt sick. How could I have been so blind? But the worst was yet to come. Later that night, I overheard Melissa on the phone again. "Jake, relax. I've done this before, remember? It worked with my mom. It'll work with her." I froze, my blood turning to ice. Melissa had killed her own mother. I immediately called Sarah. "We need to move now. Melissa's not just trying to kill me, she murdered her mother too." Sarah's voice was grim. "Okay, AV, we're ready. Tomorrow night, we'll catch her in the act." The next day was the longest of my life. Every time Melissa looked at me, I wondered if she could see the fear in my eyes. As night fell, I retreated to my bedroom, pretending to prepare for bed. In reality, I was wired with a hidden microphone, my heart pounding as I waited. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hallway. This was it. The door creaked open and Melissa slipped in, carrying my oxygen tank. I feigned sleep as she approached. Suddenly, the lights flicked on. "Freeze! Police!" Sarah's voice boomed through the room. Melissa screamed, dropping the tank. But before anyone could react, another voice cut through the chaos. "What the hell is going on here?" Robert's voice cut through the chaos as he stood in the doorway, his face twisted in confusion and horror. Before anyone could answer, Melissa lunged toward the window. Sarah reacted instantly, tackling her to the ground. As the handcuffs snapped around Melissa's wrists, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding for weeks. The nightmare was over, but the fallout was just beginning. I looked at Robert's shocked expression, knowing in that moment our lives would never be the same again. The next few hours blurred together, flashing police lights, sirens, and a barrage of questions. I sat on the edge of the bed, my oxygen mask in place, watching my world unravel. Robert paced back and forth, his face pale and drawn. "I don't understand." "Melissa, how could you do this?" he asked, his voice cracking. Melissa, now restrained and surrounded by officers, shot him a cold glare. "You never understood anything, Dad. You were always too busy chasing your next deal to see what was really going on." Sarah approached me with a notepad. "Evelyn, we need your statement now." I nodded, inhaling deeply before speaking. "I have everything documented: the tampering with my oxygen tank, the theft, the lies, and the conversation about her mother's death." Robert's head snapped up, his face white with disbelief. "What? What about Caroline's death?" I couldn't meet his eyes. Melissa admitted she was responsible for her mother's accident. The room fell into a stunned silence. Even the officers paused, absorbing the gravity of my words. Shortly after, Melissa's boyfriend was caught trying to flee town. As they led both of them away, Robert collapsed into a chair, his head in his hands. "Evelyn, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. How could I have been so blind?" A mix of pity and anger stirred inside me. "You chose not to see, Robert. You left me alone with her. You ignored my concerns. You believed her lies." He reached for my hand, desperation in his eyes. "Please, Evelyn, we can get through this. I love you." I pulled my hand away, feeling a strange sense of calm. "No, Robert, we can't. I can't trust you anymore. I want a divorce." The months that followed were a whirlwind. Melissa's trial was all over the news. She was sentenced to 25 years for attempted murder, fraud, and her involvement in her mother's death. Her boyfriend received 15 years for his role in a drug ring. Robert lost his job when the scandal broke, and last I heard, he was facing bankruptcy. As for me, life has a way of working out, even after the darkest times. My clients rallied around me, and the uncomfortable publicity brought new opportunities. I expanded my business, hired more staff, and even opened new offices in New York and LA. 5 years flew by in a blink. Now, as I stand here, breathing freely thanks to a successful lung transplant, I'm about to accept the award for Businesswoman of the Year. And now, please welcome to the stage, Evelyn Carter. As I walk up to accept the award, I catch a glimpse of a familiar face in the crowd, Robert. He looks older, grayer, watching me with sad eyes. I heard he tried to reach out last month, asking for a chance to reconcile. I didn't respond. I accept the award, smiling as the applause swells. Thank you all. This award isn't just for me. It's for everyone who's faced adversity and come out stronger. Later, at the after party, Sarah finds me. "Great speech, Eve. You know, after everything you've been through, most people would be bitter. But look at you, mentoring young designers, donating to lung disease research. You're amazing." I smile, looking out over the city lights. Life's too short for bitterness, Sarah. I've learned that the hard way. All we can do is move forward, be better, and never let the toxic people win. As I raise my glass for a toast, a sense of peace washes over me. The nightmare is over. I didn't just survive, I won. And the future? It's looking brighter than ever. Question for you. If you were in Evelyn's shoes, would you have given Melissa a second chance after her apology from prison? Or do you believe some actions are truly unforgivable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help others who are grappling with forgiveness in their own lives. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and justice, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories of overcoming adversity. Your support helps us bring these important narratives to light. Hey everyone, I'm Jessica Martinez. Let me tell you a bit about my life. I'm a 32-year-old nurse, and I used to love my job. Well, I did. More on that later. I've been married to my amazing husband, Michael, for 5 years now. We have this cute little house in the suburbs. Nothing extravagant, but it's ours. Michael and I have always been close to his family, especially his mom, Evelyn. From day one, she treated me like a daughter, always inviting us over for Sunday dinners, checking in regularly, just being there. Life was great. I was excelling at work, on track for a big promotion at the hospital, and Michael's job was steady. We were even talking about starting a family. Everything seemed perfect. And then, everything changed. It was a Tuesday, and I had just finished a long shift. I was looking forward to a quiet evening with Michael when his phone rang. It was Evelyn, and she was hysterical. "Michael, honey, it's bad news. The doctor says I'm sick. really sick. I saw the color drain from Michael's face as he listened. When he hung up, he turned to me with tears in his eyes. Jess, Mom's got some rare disease. The doctors don't know how long she has. She's going to need constant care. My heart sank. Evelyn, who had always been so full of life, was now gravely ill. Without thinking, I blurted out, "I'll take care of her. I'll quit my job. We can move her in with us." Michael was stunned. "Are you sure? That's a huge sacrifice." "Jess." I nodded. "She's family. We take care of family." So that's what we did. I gave my notice at the hospital, saying goodbye to my promotion, and within a week, we moved Evelyn into our home. We converted the home office into a bedroom for her, and suddenly, my life became all about her care. At first, it was chaos. Administering medications, helping her to the bathroom, trying to keep the house running. I was exhausted, but I kept telling myself it was worth it. This was what family did for each other. But then little things started to feel off. One morning, I heard Evelyn in the kitchen, rummaging through the fridge. When I walked in, she quickly sat down, looking frail and pale. "Oh, Jessica dear, I was just so thirsty. I didn't want to bother you," she said, but just seconds earlier, I could have sworn I saw her lifting the heavy milk jug without any trouble. Another time, I caught her laughing loudly while watching her soap operas. But the moment she noticed me, she muted the TV and put on her usual pained expression. At first, I brushed it off. This was Evelyn, kind, loving Evelyn. Why would she fake an illness? But as the days turned into weeks, my doubts grew. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. One morning, I walked into the kitchen to find Evelyn, of all things, doing jumping jacks. "Evelyn, what are you doing?" I asked, shocked. She froze mid-jump, then clutched her chest dramatically. "Oh, Jessica, I was just trying to get my blood flowing. The doctor said light exercise might help." I raised an eyebrow. "Jumping jacks are light exercise?" She coughed weakly. "I may have overdone it. Could you help me back to bed?" I bit my tongue and helped her, but my mind was racing. This wasn't the first time I caught her doing something that didn't fit with her illness. Just yesterday, I heard her belting out Sweet Caroline in the shower, only for her to emerge a few minutes later, wheezing and leaning heavily on her walker. That evening, I called my best friend, Rachel. "Rach, I think I'm losing my mind. Evelyn's sick, but then she's not. I don't know what to believe anymore." "Jess, honey, you're not crazy. Something fishy is definitely going on. Why don't you set up some hidden cameras and catch her in the act?" I sighed. "I can't do that. It feels wrong, like I'm invading her privacy." "Well, you gotta do something. This is eating you up." Rachel was right. The stress was getting to me. Michael and I were arguing more, mostly about money. I had quit my job to care for Evelyn, and our savings were running out fast. "Michael, we need to talk about your mom," I said one night after dinner. He rubbed his temples, clearly frustrated. "What now, Jess? You promised you'd stop with the conspiracy theories." "They're not theories, Michael. I know what I've seen. Your mom is." "Enough." He slammed his hand on the table. "My mother is sick. Why can't you just accept that and take care of her like you promised?" Tears stung my eyes as I stormed off. How could he not see what was happening? The next day, I was folding laundry when I overheard Evelyn on the phone in her room. "Oh, Patty, you should see Jessica running around like a maid. She's at my beck and call. The plan is working perfectly." I froze, my heart pounding. "Plan? What plan?" Yes, I know. Don't worry, sister. Soon enough, I'll prove to Michael that she's not good enough for him. He'll see that no one can care for him like his mother." I dropped the laundry basket, my mind racing. This whole thing had been a setup. She was trying to destroy my marriage. I needed proof, concrete evidence. That's when I remembered my old colleague, Dr. Anderson. He owed me a favor after I covered his shifts last Christmas. My hands shook as I dialed his number. "Hey, Dr. A, it's Jessica Martinez. I need a huge favor. Can you look into some medical records for me? It's for my mother-in-law." "Jessica, this sounds serious. What's going on?" I took a deep breath and told him everything. The inconsistent symptoms, the phone call I'd overheard, and my suspicions. "Jess, what you're suggesting is a serious accusation. Are you sure?" "That's why I need your help, Doc. I need to know if her medical records match up with what she's claiming. Can you do that for me? There was a long pause on the other end. Finally, he sighed. All right, Jessica, send me what you have. But be careful. If you're right, this could tear your family apart. As I hung up, I heard Evelyn calling from her room. Jessica, dear, could you bring me some tea? And maybe read to me for a while? I'm feeling so weak today. I clenched my fists, forcing a smile into my voice. Coming, Evelyn. This ends now, I thought. One way or another, I'm getting to the bottom of this. Days later, an email from Dr. Anderson appeared in my inbox. My hands shook as I opened it. The medical records confirmed it. Evelyn was faking everything. Taking a deep breath, I marched to her room. Evelyn, we need to talk. She looked up from her book, feigning innocence. What is it, dear? I thrust the papers at her. Care to explain this? Your medical records show no illness. You've been lying this whole time. Her face crumpled for a second, then hardened. So you've been snooping, have you? I always knew you were trouble. Me? You've been faking an illness for months. Why, Evelyn? She stood up, her frail act vanishing. Why? Because you're not good enough for my Michael. I had to prove it. Prove what? That I'd sacrifice everything to care for you. No, that you fail. That you'd crack under the pressure and leave him. But you just wouldn't give up, would you? I was stunned. You did all this to break us up. My son deserves better than a nurse who can barely keep up with his family's standards. Standards? You mean lying and manipulation? Just then, Michael walked in. What's going on here? He asked, confused. Evelyn immediately switched back to her sick voice. Oh, Michael, Jessica is being so cruel to me. I turned to him, my voice shaking. Michael, your mother's been faking her illness. I have proof. He looked between us, torn. Mom, is this true? Evelyn's facade cracked. I did it for you, sweetie, to show you she's not right for our family. Michael's face paled. You've been lying this whole time. I handed him the medical records. See for yourself. As he read through them, Evelyn tried to backpedal. It was just a little test, darling, to make sure she was worthy of you. Michael's voice was low and dangerous. A test? You made Jessica quit her job. We've been struggling financially. All for a test. Now, Michael, let's not overreact. Overreact? I cut in. You've been torturing us for months. At that moment, Michael's brother Tom burst into the room. What's all the shouting about? Michael turned to him. Did you know about this? That Mom's been faking her illness? Tom looked guilty. I might have heard something. You knew and didn't say anything. I asked, disbelief flooding me. Tom held up his hands defensively. Hey, Mom said it was for the good of the family. Michael exploded. The good of the family? Look at what it's done to us. As the argument escalated between Michael and Tom, Evelyn stood there, looking defeated. I felt the weight of it all crashing down on me. This was too much. I can't be here right now, I mumbled, heading for the door. Michael reached out. Jess, wait. But I was already gone, grabbing my keys and rushing out to my car. As I drove away, I saw Michael in the rearview mirror, standing in the driveway, looking lost and broken. I ended up at a small motel on the edge of town. The room was dingy, with a lumpy bed, but it was quiet, something I desperately needed. My phone buzzed with messages. One from Michael, please come home, we need to talk. Another from Evelyn, I'm sorry, dear. I went too far, and one from Tom, you're tearing this family apart. I turned off my phone and lay back, staring at the ceiling. How had my life become such a mess? And where do I even go from here? After a week at the motel, I finally decided to return home. The house felt different, tense, quieter without Evelyn's constant demands. Michael and I sat down for a long, painful conversation. I've applied for a job at Mercy General in the city, I told him. I need to get back to nursing, to helping people who actually need it. Michael nodded, looking worn out. I understand. I've started seeing a therapist to deal with everything Mom did. We agreed to give our marriage another chance, but it wasn't easy. The trust between us had been shattered, not just because of Evelyn's lies, but because we had both let our relationship fall apart. Rebuilding was going to take time, patience, and a lot of work. A month later, I got the job at Mercy General. Slipping back into my scrubs felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been missing. I was helping people again, making a real difference. One evening, as I was leaving the hospital, I ran into Evelyn in the parking lot. Jessica, please, can we talk? I shook my head. There's nothing left to say, Evelyn. She looked desperate. I'm truly sorry. I never meant for things to go this far. But you did let it go that far. You were willing to destroy your son's marriage and my career for your own selfish reasons. I can't forgive that. As I drove away, I saw her slumped figure in my rear-view mirror. I felt a twinge of pity, but I knew I'd made the right decision. At home, Michael and I began talking about moving. We both wanted a fresh start, away from the shadow of Evelyn's betrayal. We found a charming little house closer to the city, near my new job. While packing up our old place, Michael's phone rang. After hanging up, he looked at me in disbelief. You're not going to believe this. Mom's been arrested for insurance fraud. I stared at him. What? Apparently, one of her old friends saw her out shopping and reported her. She's been claiming benefits for her illness, and the insurance company investigated. Turns out, they found out everything. How do you feel about it? I asked, cautiously. He sighed, looking conflicted. Honestly, relieved. Maybe now she'll finally face the consequences. A few months later, as Michael and I were celebrating my promotion to head nurse over dinner, we got the news. Evelyn had been sentenced to community service in order to pay back all the fraudulent claims. To new beginnings, Michael said, raising his glass. I smiled and clinked my glass against his. Karma, I added with a small smile. As we left the restaurant hand in hand, I realized that sometimes the hardest challenges lead to the most important growth. We had been through hell, but we'd come out stronger on the other side. As for Evelyn, she'd made her bed, and now she had to lie in it, for real this time. What would you have done if you were in Jessica's shoes? Would you have confronted Evelyn earlier or handled the situation differently? This story touches on complex issues of family loyalty, trust, and personal boundaries. There's no easy answer, which makes it such a compelling dilemma to consider. If you found this story engaging, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Share your thoughts below on how you would navigate such a challenging family situation. Let's keep the conversation going. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, a 38-year-old marketing executive, and boy, do I have a story to tell you. One about trust, betrayal, and the strength it takes to overcome life's curveballs. 5 years ago, I thought I'd hit the jackpot when I married James. He was charming, successful, and seemed to adore both me and my daughter, Emma. Emma was from my previous marriage, and James brought his son, Tyler, into our new family. I was determined to make it work, treating both kids equally and with all the love I could give. Emma, sweetheart, how about we invite Tyler to join us for movie night? I'd suggest, always trying to bridge the gap between the siblings. Emma would smile and nod eagerly. Can we watch a superhero movie? Tyler likes those. I'd smile back, proud of her efforts. Great idea. Why don't you go ask him? But more often than not, Tyler would shrug and decline. Nah, I'm good. Got plans with my friends. James would always reassure me, wrapping his arm around my shoulders. Sarah, he's a teenager. It's normal for him to want space. I'd nod, burying my doubts. You're right, I just want us all to be close. Things started to change after my parents passed away 2 years ago. They left me a substantial inheritance, and I wanted to use it wisely. James, I think we should set this money aside for Emma's future, I said one evening as we sorted through the paperwork. He nodded, but there was something in his eyes that unsettled me. Of course, but we should think about Tyler too. He's closer to college age. A flicker of unease hit me. Tyler's mom is handling his college fund, remember? That's what we agreed on when we got married. He sighed, a bit too casually. I know, but we should keep our options open. That should have been a red flag. My best friend Olivia had tried to warn me. We were having coffee one afternoon when she broached the subject. Sarah, don't you think James favors Tyler a little too much? She asked gently. I bristled at first. What? No, he loves both kids equally. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? I've seen how he is with them. It's different. I brushed it off. Blending families is hard, Liv. We're still figuring it out. But her words lingered, and I nodded as she added, just keep your eyes open. And remember, I'm here if you need me. Over the next few months, a gnawing feeling began to grow. Our finances seemed off. Bills I thought I paid showed up as overdue, and our savings were depleting faster than I could explain. James, have you noticed anything strange with our bank statements? I asked one evening. He barely glanced up from his phone. Nope. Everything's fine. Why? I hesitated. I don't know. Something feels off. His eyes finally met mine, his expression unreadable. Sarah, you worry too much. I've got everything under control. I wanted to believe him. But one evening, while going through our joint account, I spotted it. A $5,000 withdrawal I knew I hadn't made. My heart raced as I dug deeper. The more I looked, the worse it got. Multiple large withdrawals, passwords changed without my knowledge. Panic set in. That night, I called Olivia. Liv, I think something's really wrong, I said, my voice trembling. What's going on? She asked, concerned. I spilled everything. The withdrawals, the locked accounts, James's strange behavior. Sarah, this sounds serious. I think you need help. I know a private investigator, Mike Carson. He's discreet and thorough. Want me to give him a call? I hesitated but agreed. A week later, Mike called me to his office. The grim look on his face told me everything. I knew what was coming before Mike even opened his mouth. Mrs. Thompson, I'm afraid I have some bad news, he began. As he laid out his findings, it felt like the ground was crumbling beneath me. James hadn't just been making a few unauthorized withdrawals. He'd been systematically embezzling money from our joint account. He's been transferring large sums of money to an account in Tyler's name, Mike said, sliding a document across the desk. I stared at the paper, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. Money that was supposed to secure both of our children's futures, money from my inheritance. There's more, Mike continued. We have evidence that James told Tyler this money was a gift for his future. Tyler's been aware of this arrangement for some time. That night, I confronted James. I'll never forget the look on his face when he realized he'd been caught. It wasn't remorse or shame. It was irritation, as though I had inconvenienced him. Tyler needs it more, he said, as if that justified everything. He's closer to college age. And what about Emma's future? I demanded, my voice rising. What have you left for her? James had the audacity to shrug. There's a savings bond in her name. That should be enough. I was speechless, but the betrayal ran deeper than I ever could have imagined. Over the next few days, I uncovered more lies. Friends started reaching out, concerned about things James had apparently been saying about me. He'd been painting me as unstable, unreasonable, a bad mother. And Emma, my sweet Emma, had been caught in the middle. James had been manipulating her, making her keep secrets from me. As the full extent of James and Tyler's deception became clear, I felt a rage I'd never known. Sitting in my car outside the house, a house that no longer felt like home, I made a decision. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. James and Tyler might think they'd won, but they had no idea what was coming. I was done being the victim. It was time to fight back. James had already proven he was willing to lie and steal. I couldn't let him see me coming. The next morning, I called in sick to work and met with Lisa Chen, a divorce lawyer Olivia had recommended. Based on what you've told me, Sarah, we have a strong case for financial fraud, Lisa said, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. But we'll need ironclad evidence. Can you get access to all your financial records? I nodded, determination hardening my resolve. I'll find a way. At home, I played the role of the dutiful wife, pretending I'd moved past my suspicions. James bought it, hook, line, and sinker. I'm glad you've come around, honey, he said one night, kissing my cheek. I knew you'd understand eventually. I forced a smile, bile rising in my throat. Of course, dear, I trust you. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence like my life depended on it. I reached out to my company's IT department, spinning a story about a personal project. Hey Sarah, chirped Alex, a resident tech whiz. What can I do for you? I'm working on tracking some old transactions for a side gig, I lied smoothly. Any tips on how to trace digital money transfers? Alex's eyes lit up. Oh, I've got just the tools for that. Let me show you. Armed with Alex's tech know-how, I dug deeper into our finances. The more I uncovered, the worse it got. James hadn't just been stealing from me, he'd been cooking the books at his own company too. That night, I anonymously tipped off his company about the embezzlement. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. A few days later, all hell broke loose. James came home in a panic, his face ashen. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, his voice trembling. I steeled myself. This was it. "Yes, we do, James." He launched into a frantic explanation, spinning tales of misunderstandings and mistakes, begging me to help him cover his tracks. But I had heard enough of his lies. "Stop, James," I said, my voice cold. "I know everything. The money you stole from our account, from my inheritance, the lies you've been telling about me, the way you've manipulated Emma, and now your little embezzlement scheme at work." James's face crumpled. He fell to his knees, grabbing my hands. "Sarah, please, I'm so sorry. I'll make it right, I swear. We can fix this together." I pulled my hands away. "Fix this? James, you've stolen our daughter's future. You've lied to my face for months. You've tried to turn our friends against me. There's no fixing this." "But I love you," he pleaded, tears in his eyes. "We can start over. Please just give me another chance." "No, James," I said, my voice steady. "It's too late for that. We're done." As I walked away, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. But for the first time in months, I could see a future where Emma and I were free from the lies and betrayal. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, Emma doing homework beside me, when my phone buzzed with a news alert. The headline screamed, "Local accountant under investigation for major fraud." My hands shook as I read the article. Emma looked up, concern in her eyes. "Mom, what's wrong?" I forced a smile. "Nothing, sweetie. Just some work stuff." But I knew I couldn't shield her from the truth for long. Soon, the police got involved, freezing James' assets, and Tyler's too. I filed for divorce that same day, citing financial abuse and fraud. My lawyer, Lisa, was a godsend through it all. "We've got him, Sarah," she said, her voice fierce. "He won't get away with this." As the truth came to light, our friends and family were stunned. I'll never forget the look on my in-laws' faces when they learned what their son had done. "We had no idea," James's mother sobbed. "Sarah, we're so sorry." Even Tyler, faced with the reality of his role in his father's schemes, tried to backpedal. One day, he showed up at our door, all his bravado gone. "Sarah, I swear, I didn't know where the money was coming from," he pleaded. I just shook my head. "Save it, Tyler. You're old enough to know right from wrong." The hardest part was telling Emma. We sat her down one evening, and I explained as gently as I could about her father's betrayal. "But why, Mom?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Why would Dad do this?" I pulled her close. "I don't know, sweetie. But we're going to be okay, I promise." I enrolled Emma in therapy to help her cope with everything. 2 years later, life looks very different. I'm thriving in my career, having earned a promotion last month. Emma, now 12, is excelling in school and has found a passion for soccer. "Mom, did you see that goal I scored?" she yelled, running off the field after a game. I scooped her up in a hug. "I sure did, champ. You were amazing." James is now serving time for his crimes, financially ruined. I've heard through the grapevine that Tyler is struggling, working a minimum wage job and living with his mom. As for me, I feel vindicated, stronger than I ever thought possible. Emma and I have built a stable, loving home, free from the toxic influences of our past. Looking back, I realize that while the betrayal nearly broke me, it also showed me just how resilient I am. Emma and I faced the storm together, and we've come out stronger on the other side. Our future is bright, filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. And that's a happy ending I never saw coming. Now I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you have given James a second chance? Or do you believe some betrayals are too deep to forgive, even when it comes to family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions matter, and they might help someone going through a similar situation. If you found this story engaging, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. Your support means the world to me and Emma as we continue to share our journey. Remember, sometimes the family we choose is stronger than the one we're born into. Stay strong, and thanks for listening. Hey there, I'm Melanie Thompson. I'm 38, a single mom, and the proud mother of a 16-year-old whirlwind named Zoe. She's my whole world, the spark in my everyday. We live in a snug little house in the suburbs. It's not much, but it's ours, filled with love and a million memories. I work as a nurse at the local hospital. The shifts are long, grueling even, 12 hours on my feet, racing from one crisis to the next. But I do it for Zoe. I need to keep a roof over our heads, food on the table. It's not easy, but it's worth every second when I come home to her smile. I was stirring a quick dinner before my night shift when Zoe came crashing through the door, her volleyball bag hitting the floor with a thud. "Mom, you're not going to believe what happened at practice today," she exclaimed, her excitement filling the room. I smiled, knowing something good was coming. "What's up, sweetie? Did coach finally notice that killer serve you've been working on?" "Even better. We're going to the state championship." I dropped the spatula in my hand and pulled her into a tight hug. "Oh my God, Zoe, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you." Moments like that make everything, every exhausting shift, every late night worry, worth it. I've made it my mission to be at every game, balancing life between work and helping her with school. I've become an expert at juggling chemical equations and analyzing Shakespeare, all while managing my own chaos. Then there's Jack, my ex, a charming real estate agent who shows up when it suits him. He's got that knack for swooping in, playing the fun dad, and then disappearing just as fast. "Hey kiddo," Jack's voice boomed from the driveway one Saturday afternoon. "Ready for our day out?" Zoe's face lit up as she ran toward him. "Dad, you're early." I forced a smile. "Have fun, you two. Don't forget your jacket, Zoe," I called after them. As they drove off, that familiar pang settled in. Jealousy, worry, maybe both. I shook it off, trying to focus on tidying up the house. But it lingered like an unwelcome guest. Later that evening, Sarah, my best friend and fellow nurse, stopped by with a knowing grin and a bottle of wine in hand. "Girl, you look like you could use this." I laughed, grateful for the distraction. Am I that obvious? We settled on the porch, and before I knew it, I was spilling my guts about Jack's increasing presence in Zoe's life. "I don't know, Sarah. He's been taking her out more often, buying her all these fancy things. I can't compete with that." Sarah rested a hand on my arm. "Mel, you're an incredible mom. Zoe knows that." "Does she? Lately it feels like she's slipping away. She's always on her phone, talking about how cool her dad is." Just as I said it, Zoe and her best friend Lily burst up the driveway, giggling over something on Lily's phone. "Hey, Mrs. T," Lily chirped. "Mind if I stay for dinner?" "Of course not, sweetie. You're always welcome here." As the girls disappeared inside, Sarah gave me a knowing look. "See, your house is still the place to be." I nodded, but something still gnawed at me, like the foundation of everything I built was starting to crack. I had no idea just how deep that crack was about to run. My sweet, bright Zoe was slipping away from me, and I didn't even see it coming. It started small, missed curfews, half-finished homework. But now it felt like I was living with a stranger. One night, she stumbled in at 2 a.m., reeking of cigarettes. "Zoe, it's 2 in the morning. Where have you been?" My voice wavered between anger and fear. "Out, Mom." "God, can you chill?" She shot back, brushing past me like I was nothing more than an inconvenience. The smell of cigarettes clung to her clothes, and my heart sank. "Have you been smoking?" "Zoe, we've talked about this." "Whatever. You're not Dad. He lets me live a little." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Jack had been showing up more, bringing gifts, making promises. The next morning, I tried to talk to her, softer this time. Over breakfast, I said, "Honey, I'm worried about you. Your grades, the late nights. Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I could actually focus," she snapped, slamming her spoon down. "Controlling?" I echoed, trying to keep calm. "I'm trying to help you. By suffocating me. Dad says you're just stuck in the past, jealous of him." My blood boiled. "Your father doesn't." But she was already storming out, slamming the door behind her. That night, I called Jack. "What are you telling our daughter about me?" "Relax, Mel," he said smoothly. "I'm just showing her there's more to life than your rules." "Rules? You mean basic respect and responsibility?" "See? This is why she prefers being with me. You're suffocating her, sucking the joy out of her life." I hung up fuming, but I had no idea just how bad things were about to get. A week later, I was served custody papers. Jack was suing for full custody, claiming I was unfit. I laughed at first, thinking no one would believe that, but then came the court date. Sitting there, confident in the life I built for Zoe, my world came crashing down. Mom's always yelling, Zoe said coldly from the stand. She's never there for me. She's too busy with work to care about what I want. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. She's emotionally abusive, she continued. She makes me feel worthless. Tears blurred my vision. Where were these lies coming from? After the hearing, I cornered her in the hallway. So, how could you say those things? You know they're not true. For a brief second, I saw a flicker of the daughter I knew. But then Jack appeared, sliding his arm around Zoe, pulling her close. It's okay, princess. You did the right thing, he murmured, his voice dripping with reassurance. As they walked away, I overheard him whispering, Remember, a whole new life is waiting for you. No more rules, no more nagging. The judge's decision had come swiftly, full custody to Jack. Me? I was relegated to supervise visits, a visitor in my own daughter's life. As Zoe packed up her things, the silence between us felt unbearable. Each box she carried out felt like a piece of my heart being ripped away. Finally, I asked the question burning in my chest. Why? Zoe barely looked at me. You just don't get it, Mom. I need freedom. Dad understands that. And with that, she was gone. The door clicked shut behind her, echoing through the once noisy, lively house. I sank to the floor, the weight of it all crushing me. That night, Sarah came over, ice cream and tissues in hand. I don't understand, I sobbed, clutching the spoon. Where did I go wrong? You didn't, Sarah insisted, her arm around me. Jack's manipulating her. She'll see the truth eventually. But as I glanced into Zoe's empty room, everything untouched except for the hollow space where she used to be, I wasn't so sure. How do you come back from a betrayal like this? How do you forgive your own child for tearing your world apart? I picked up a framed photo from Zoe's desk. It was from last year, Zoe and I, both smiling, carefree. I stared at the image, running my fingers over the glass. I'll fight for you, I whispered. Even if you don't want me to. It's been 6 months since Zoe left, and I've thrown myself into work. Double shifts, overtime, anything to fill the silence of the empty house. Melanie, you can't keep this up, Sarah said one day during our break. You look exhausted. I forced a smile. I'm fine, just busy. But she was right. The exhaustion wasn't just from work. I needed something more, something to distract me from the hollow ache that never went away. That's when I saw the flyer for the youth center. Volunteering seemed like a good way to fill the void. On my first day there, I met Aisha, a tough kid with walls as high as I used to have. She reminded me so much of Zoe, but I couldn't go there, not yet. I don't need your help, Aisha snapped the first time I tried to talk to her. I held up my hands, backing off. Okay, but I'm here if you change your mind. Weeks passed, and slowly Aisha started to open up. One day, during an art session, she broke down, her tough exterior crumbling. My mom's boyfriend is a jerk, she sobbed. He treats me like I'm nothing. My heart ached. I wanted to tell her about Zoe, how much I understood the pain of feeling pushed aside, but I held back. This was about Aisha, not me. Meanwhile, life went on, the days blurring into each other. I was restocking supplies at the hospital when my phone buzzed. Lily's name lighting up the screen. Mrs. Thompson, it's about Zoe. My heart raced. Is she okay? I typed back, my fingers shaking. Not really. She's been hanging out with these sketchy guys in her grades. It's bad. I gripped the phone tighter. What about Jack? Isn't he doing anything? He's never around, Lily replied, followed by a heavy sigh I could almost hear through the text. And his girlfriend Vanessa, she's awful to Zoe. Every instinct screamed at me to rush to Zoe, to pull her back before she slipped even further away. But I remembered the cold look in her eyes at the custody hearing. The sting of betrayal still lingered. Thanks for telling me, Lily. Keep an eye on her, okay? That night, I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning as thoughts of Zoe filled my mind. Was I doing the right thing by staying away? Or was I just abandoning her, like she thought I had before? The next day at the youth center, Aisha seemed different, quieter, more withdrawn. Everything okay? I asked, trying to keep my voice gentle. She shrugged. Why do you care? You're not my mom. The words hit hard. I wasn't her mom, no, but I cared. No, I'm not, I said softly. But I still care. Aisha's tough facade cracked just a little. My mom's boyfriend hit her last night, she whispered. She won't leave him. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. That must be scary. Have you talked to a counselor? She shook her head. Would you like me to go with you? I offered, feeling hope stir as she gave a small nod. Progress. As we walked toward the counselor's office, my phone buzzed again. I glanced at the screen and felt my stomach drop. A news alert about Jack. The headline read, Local realtor under investigation for fraud. I quickly texted Sarah. Have you seen this? Her reply came instantly, just now. What are you going to do? What could I do? Zoe had made her choice, but the thought of her being alone in the middle of Jack's mess sent a wave of dread through me. Mrs. Thompson. Aisha's voice pulled me back to the present. You coming? I pocketed my phone, right behind you. That evening, I sat in my quiet living room, staring at Zoe's latest school photo. My finger hovered over her contact in my phone. Should I call her? What would I even say? A text from Lily popped up. Zoe's out late again. I'm worried. I closed my eyes, fighting the urge to jump in my car and find her. Instead, I typed back. Thanks for letting me know. Keep me posted. As I set the phone down, I noticed a missed call from an unknown number. I played the voicemail and my blood ran cold. Miss Thompson, this is Officer Davis. The voicemail from Officer Davis sent my heart racing. There's been an incident involving your daughter. I rushed to the station, terrified of what awaited me. Zoe had been caught shoplifting with her new friends. As I entered, I saw her hunched in a chair, looking smaller than I remembered. Mom? I cut her off. Not here, Zoe. Let's go. The car ride home was silent. Tension hung between us, thick and unspoken. When we finally got inside, Zoe broke down. I'm sorry, Mom. Everything's falling apart. Dad's never home. Vanessa hates me, and I don't know what to do. I wanted to pull her into my arms, to comfort her like I used to, but the hurt was still too fresh. Zoe, I can't just pretend nothing happened. You lied about me in court. I know, she sobbed. Dad promised me so much, but it was all lies. I took a deep breath, fighting back the storm of emotions. We need help, Zoe. Real, professional help. She nodded, her face a mix of relief and fear. The next day, I found a family counselor. And then the news broke. Jack had been arrested. Fraud, money laundering, the whole sordid mess. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages, but one stood out. It was from Vanessa. Your brat's stuff is on the curb. Come get it, or it's going in the trash. I sighed, grabbing my keys. When I arrived, Zoe was sitting on her suitcase, crying. She kicked me out, Mom. I have nowhere to go. The old me would have caved instantly, rushing to comfort her. But I held my ground. You can stay in the guest room for now, but we're sticking to counseling. And you'll follow the house rules. Understood? Zoe wiped her tears and nodded. Yes, Mom. Weeks passed. Zoe went back to school. I worked my shifts, and we went to counseling together. It wasn't easy. Every session peeled back more layers of hurt. But we were trying. Then came the night that changed everything. I was working a night shift in the ER when the ambulances screamed in. A multi-vehicle pileup on the highway had sent victims flooding in. As I rushed to help, I froze. There, on one of the gurneys, was Zoe. BP dropping. A paramedic shouted. Possible internal bleeding. In that moment, nurse mode kicked in, pushing aside the panic threatening to take over. Hours later, after surgery, I sat by her bedside, holding her hand, willing her to be okay. When Zoe's eyes fluttered open, she whispered, Mom, you're here. Always, I said softly. As Zoe recovered, we began to have real conversations about the pain we had caused each other, the trust that had been shattered. I want to come home, she said one afternoon, her voice steady. For real this time. I squeezed her hand, searching her eyes. It won't be easy. We have a lot to work through. I know, she replied. But I want to try. Months passed, and slowly, we found a new rhythm. Zoe was back home, working hard in school, rebuilding her friendships. I'd been promoted at work and continued volunteering at the youth center, watching Asha thrive in her first year of college. Life, in its quiet way, was moving forward. One evening, as Zoe and I cooked dinner together, she turned to me, her voice soft. Mom, I know I hurt you. I'm still sorry, but thank you for not giving up on me. I pulled her into a hug, the warmth between us filled with forgiveness and the promise of a stronger bond. We're family, I whispered. We stumble, we fall, but we always find our way back to each other. The story has come to an end, but I have a question for you. If you were in Melanie's shoes, could you forgive your child for betraying you in court and tearing your family apart? Even if they realize their mistake later, would you be able to rebuild that trust? Or would the damage be too severe? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences and perspectives might help others facing similar challenges. And if this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that matter.